I've been into pup play for, well, it's about 12 years now. But then realistically, prior to that, there has been areas of pup play in sort of the playtime at home beforehand. And it was only about 12 years ago that I actually identified what those feelings became to be a pup in that sense. It started off with sort of a dog collar and such, and it sort of felt right, but at the time didn't know why. And then 12 years ago, sort of getting the Zentai suit with a sort of spotty print to it made everything click together, such that actually all those feelings a couple of years earlier then started going, hang on a minute, this all makes sense, and gives me like sort of a purpose in life. Pup play for my side, I find that the sort of the relaxation, the escapism from the whole thing really pleasing, and the way it sort of came about in my side of things was I started off with an orange dog collar and lead, which I used to have until a couple of years ago, and I loaned it to someone, never got it back, which is a bit of a shame. And the collar and lead at the time didn't make sense. Why? Then I got the Zentai suit because I have a fetish for skin tight clothing, and over time, of course, like with any fetish, you want more of it if you can get it. And we spotted on eBay the spotted Dalmatian print costume, and my other half at the time decided that they could identify with that more from the point of view they could see it as dressing up, as opposed to sort of the fetish side, so they could at least accept it. And what then came from that was that the Zentai suit being spotty and Dalmatian, I ended up dropping straight into a sort of role play aspect, and from that role play aspect, the pup side just developed quicker and quicker and really quite rapidly into actually something that I found was actually quite an enjoyable place to be. My pup name formally is Zentai Spot. Zentai coming from the Japanese word meaning full body tights, and then the spot because of the Dalmatian print. Over the years, not because I've specifically gone for a name change, but the word Zentai at the beginning is being dropped, and most people now know me as Spot. Pup play for me, it's about escapism from normality, from the rush of the day-to-day life that you're in work, you've got money worries or whatever, family issues. It's a way of getting away from all of that, coming back to primal instincts, whereby sort of the hunter-gatherer, the simple things in life are more enjoyable than what you actually realise. You know, we're also taking for granted for your phones, you're taking for granted for PlayStations, computers and that kind of thing. Whereas actually when you're in pup headspace, you're so detached from all that, you're quite happy with a squeaky ball, happy with the sort of laser dots on the floor, and they're so simple yet they're so enjoyable to play with. That's my blue chew ring with spikes on it. That's pretty much one of my first pup toys that I've ever had. It's withstood this sort of abuse that I've given it. It's losing a few of its spikes along the way, but so far I haven't broken it. Most other squeaky toys, I'll either remove the squeak out of them, or they give up, or they break, or tennis balls and the rope knot toys, they fall apart fairly quick. But you say my one blue chew ring, that's coming on 12 years old now, and it's still going strong, albeit it's rather chewed up, but still playable. It's still mine. From pup play, my pup side isn't just desperately sexual from that side. My pup side, aside from being namesake in BDSM and sexual playtime, in the words of sort of Spot and stuff, there isn't really much of my puppy that comes to play in that aspect. There's been an odd few occasions where I've been in the sort of puppy heads, not proper puppy headspace, but in the puppy costume and puppy gear, and played sort of BDSM and sexual side of things. But I don't really associate the puppy with it. They're sort of two very independent sides on the whole, as best as I can. There's fetishes in everyone, I think, and I don't know. It's a weird one to try and answer in the sense that I say I don't associate my pup side as a sort of true sexual puppy like others do. I mean, Piglet's a very sexual puppy, and God, now I'm trying to reel names off me. I can't think, but there's quite a few of them out there. But from the fetish side of things, I think it helps. I mean, we all have a love of something, and if you feel that closely and that strongly to it, it's very easy to associate that and bring that into your pup world. So, say from my point of view, the sort of the skin type of clothing, the lycra running stuff, that to be brought into the pup world, it's my human safe comfort zone, but at the same time, it's also what my pup side associates with. So that's probably where the crossover on the boundaries happen. The gear, it's not an important thing for pups. It is their identity. Mine's, dare I say, very unique, very noticeable in amongst crowds. Doesn't matter how big a picture, how many pups there are. It's very easy to go almost play the where's the spot moment in amongst the photo. But that said, you don't need to go out and you don't need to spend a fortune on gear to actually be a pup. There's a sort of, if you're in the leather community, you've got to spend a fortune on leather boots, leather chaps, leather jacket, leather cap, leather boot, before you can even walk through the door into a club. Whereas on the pup side, it's a very easy fetish, an easy kink scene to get into. You don't even need a collar if you don't want to. If you're not an owned puppy and you want to be just go out and hang out and be a pup and run around on all fours on the floor, you don't need anything. So it's a very easy, inexpensive one to be. But then over time, my gears have developed and become my identity. So that's where I find it important to be the identity, but I don't find it important to be the pup. For my pup headspace, it comes out all the time. I don't need the gear on to be a pup. But to be an identifiable pup, to be seen, is when I feel the gear is important. So, I say in the London Pride photos or Birmingham Pride photos and stuff, if I was in just, dare I say it, just what I'm in now, domestic gear, or in, I don't know, just straightforward running gear or something of that nature, although in me, I feel I'm Spot, and in me I'll act like I'm Spot, I don't feel I'll be part of the crowd, if that makes sense, because I'm just another person. Whereas in the gear, you're identifiable, so therefore it reinforces the pup side. From my side of things, yes, yeah. As I know, Chip's quite happy in his black stuff that he's got. Pepper's, she's quite happy in sort of the bright pink she's got. But then she started off in normal, sort of darker stuff, and over time has built the identity out of the bright colours. Whereas in my side of things, my identity is built from the fact that it's white, it's spotty, it's identifiable amongst a sea of sort of darker coloured puppies. It's confusing. It's as I say, from a lot of it, it's the pup gear isn't important. The pup gear helps, and the pup gear definitely reinforces who I am. But my puppy side's always there, regardless. Interacting with other pups, it's about being friendly. We are a boisterous community. We do sort of wear each other out rather rapidly, but you've got to be open and warm and welcoming to all. There's too many cliques in the world, and at the point of pup play, you could be the highest of highest in your job, you could be the lowest of lowest, you could be the floor sweeper, you could be the boss. It doesn't matter who you are in your normal life. In pup play, we're all at an equal or fairly equal level. So to welcome somebody from a struggling background of life should be just as warm and welcoming as actually welcoming someone who's a lot more of a predominant character in normal life. You're all one level. So being warm and welcoming, being understanding about each other. And there's pups out there that I know that won't name names because it's not fair on them, but have issues, and at the same time, once they're in their pup head space, their life of that side is out of the way. They're there to have fun, you're there to have fun, and that's just the main thing of the side of it. It's play at the same level. It's give each other warmth, hugs, comfort, no matter where you come from and what background you're out of. My pup side, it comes out a lot. It's I know that there's some people which pup play is one and the human life is the other, and the two never shall meet. I find it that my pup side comes out regardless. I'll do things subconsciously almost. Be it carry the sort of keys around in my mouth, even if I've got, you know, empty hands, but I'll still carry keys in my mouth or carry something in my mouth. It's just, it's my pup side wanting to be, that's where I feel happiest, that's where I feel safest. These days, yes, you're right. I mean, I'm sort of looking at it from more of an all-encompassing sort of scenario. I know that I've been featured on the Channel 4 twice because of the Gogglebox review afterwards. I did the ITV TV side of it in the morning, so people can associate who I am as my puppy self. It gives me, I suppose, it gives me a bit more freedom to be puppy if I want to be. But on the same note, I still feel that I won't say it's a taboo subject. I won't say that it's something that should never be seen again. But there's still points where you sit in life going, it's probably not the right circumstances to allow the puppy to be out to play. So I know that work are aware of my puppy side. I mean, they were aware of the documentary, family were aware of it. And although they've all probably seen it, or even if they have seen it, they haven't told me they've seen it, I don't want to rub it in their faces. I don't want to sort of allow a puppy just to become so boisterous that it's always around. I still try and keep it. It's not trying to keep it behind closed doors. I want to be out, I want to be proud, I want to be who I am and who I want to be. But at the same time, it's just not fair on some people who either probably don't quite understand it. I mean, they might have seen it, but they don't fully understand it, and I don't want to put them into a position where they feel awkward, or put myself in a position that feels awkward. So I try and keep it all a bit reserved, even if it's known about publicly and globally now, actually. It's been shown across many countries. Don't get me wrong, this is what I was going back to what I said earlier. This is where my puppy side is absolutely revelling in it. Absolutely loving the fact that it's gone a global phenomenon. In me, I'm still me. I still do my normal stuff. I still do my normal job. Nothing's changed in that side, and nothing will change in that side. But my puppy side absolutely loves it, and it's just, I get nicknamed a media hall as a puppy. Barking and whimpering, growling, sort of what I'd associate as a normal dog's language. I feel it's important to be a pup. It helps you get into the mindset. It attenuates who you are. It makes it stronger. But then, if you look at biological puppies and the real animal, they don't bark loudly all the time. They don't whimper all the time loudly. They're quite placid. They're quite playful. They're tired. They're sleepy. So there's a lot more to it than just being vocal as a puppy. I know I've got quite a good bark on me. I keep getting told off for it. But then on the same note, when you're in the pup headspace playing on the mats, whimpering, barking and such forth, that goes hand in hand. Sort of when you're chucking a squeaky toy around or being bounced on or jumped on or whatever. But at the same time, a lot of it, because you're relaxed, because you're in a safe environment, you do fall into being sort of a human with normal sort of vocal dialect at the same time. You end up with a conversation which allows people to air their concerns in a sort of comfortable environment that they're not worried over who's going to judge them or anything. So yeah, the pup's vocal dialect as a puppy is important, but it's not the be all end all. It's not, you know, you could have a quiet pup sat in the corner, you could have a quiet pup playing on the mats. it doesn't matter. We're all one and the same. When you're a pup, you become deep in the headspace. You become unaware of what's some of your surroundings. It's what the handler's around for, or whether it be a handler, whether it be an alpha who's acting as a handler, whether it be a friend who's... It's effectively you need eyes and ears to one extent around you, from your safety, your security, and your health, really. I know I've been in the pup head space so deep that I've completely been lost aware of my own health and ended up dehydrated. But I actually then ended up going so far through dehydration that I actually ended up coming out the other side and snapped out of a puppy head space, and actually ended up really not a good person. I know I was very argumentative at the time, and it wasn't because someone had done something wrong. It wasn't because I'd put myself at danger in the sense of walking out in front of a car or something of that nature, but it's because I'd become dehydrated, and therefore my human survival instinct kicked me back out of my pup head space and made me sort of become acutely aware of what actually I'd been doing. Whereas my puppy side was loving being a puppy and wasn't even aware that I'd end up becoming that badly in that position. Equally, also, with the puppy side of things, on sort of day-to-day stuff, if you're out if you're in pup gear and you're out on the beach and going for a walk, or going down London Pride and in the parade there, or Brighton or Birmingham, or wherever you are, a lot of the pup hoods are actually quite restrictive in your view, so you're not aware of what's around your surroundings, and you need the sort of a handler or similar to be your eyes and ears, whether it just be to watch out for the public around you, whether it's just to keep an eye on them, if there's some group of people that are taking a dislike to you, you might not be aware of them because they're that side of you and you can't see them, whereas your handler at least can be keeping an eye on that side of it. So yeah, you do need someone to be giving you security in that side, if nothing else, just to answer questions, to try and explain it, because again, with the pup hood on in pup head space, in the pup head space fully, you don't really talk, whereas even if you do with the pup hood on, it's normally quite muffled, and therefore you need someone, not quite an interpreter as such, but you need someone just to sort of help break the language barrier from that side. From the point of view of being in an awkward position or anything of that nature for public, I haven't yet. I haven't been singled out and felt unsecure being a puppy. I've had one instance where it wasn't like we were unsecure or unsafe, but I've had one instance where we've had a group of young kids who were, I don't know whether it was because they were unsure of us, or whether they were scared of us, or whether they were just trying to be the big I am even though they're not, but they were just shouting weird and wonderful random sort of freaks and that kind of thing at us, sort of name calling more than anything. And 9 times out of 10 the best option at that point is just ignore them and keep moving on. Don't give them the time. If you start reacting back to them, then it gives them energy to start causing grief to you, whereas if you just ignore them and keep moving on, they get bored, leave you alone. I've had it once on the underground, when I was coming out as a pup fairly early on. We had, again, that was a group of young kids who were a bit unsure of us, and fair play to the station announcer at the time, because I was trying to do every single station on the Circle line, get off, take a photo, get back on the next train, and that was I think that was a fortnight before they changed it into the, not quite a Circle anymore, Circle line. And it had gone round the staff radios that I was doing this, it had gone round all the stations, so they were all aware of it, and they all gave us cheery waves as they came in, which is quite nice from the driver's point of view. But we had a group of young kids who were starting to approach on us, and the station announcer said, what was it? When ladies in Cruella de Vil, one of your Dalmatian puppies is loose on platform, whatever it was, platform 2 for argument's sake. And I think part of that was to make us aware that they were aware that we were there. But I think there's also actually, because at the same point the kids that were starting to encroach on personal space, for want of a way of saying it, scarpered. And I think there was a little bit of a station announcer taking the mix, saying, look, we are watching you, and we are also watching the kids. And they kind of left us alone, and yeah, so quite. They were well, they weren't confrontational, they were just curious, they were unsure. But at the same time, yeah, I've got to say, quite a nice experience of the rest of it, which is quite cool. My pup side, it did affect life. Dare I say it, the whole world knows what the backstory is. But in a nutshell, when I first started being a pup, it was accepted, it was okay, and over time my pup wants, my pup needs became beyond what the partner at the time was comfortable with. Coupled with also the fact that at the time there was no safe environment to be a pup. There was no pup social, there was no pouncing claws, there was no social pause, there was, there are so many, there's so many social areas that you can go to as a pup now, of which are welcoming for all. Back when I became a pup myself, there wasn't. There was dark nightclubs where you had to be male orientated, you had to be going on a specific night. I first started going to Heroes, which is a skin tight club in London, and that was only male sort of acceptance, or male gender. It was a specific night once a month for people into skin tight clothing, whether that's rubber, lycra, neoprene, that kind of thing. Didn't matter what that side of it was, but because my puppy side was based around skin tight clothing as a fetish, the two merged at that point. I went to the club at that point, and the partner at the time thought that I was no longer interested in females, because to allow my pup side to develop, you had to be male type of sexuality, and that's why the relationship went wrong on my side. Part of it was that my partner at the time thought, well, if I leave me to be able to be a pup, then it will allow the pup side to grow, because they felt like they were holding it back. Realistically, it had nothing to do with that. There was just a lot of other things. That's sort of that's where it started from. I then found a handler down in Somerset. That lasted 6 months, and my current handler took photographs of me whilst I was in London walking around as a puppy. So he became a surrogate handler for me for the clubs in London, whilst I was still seeing a person down in Somerset, because it was too far for them to travel up to London. But after 6 months or so, the chap in Somerset realised that it was not going to go the way that he wanted it to, because he wanted me to cut links and move down and start a fresh life down that way. So he decollared me, and at that point Colin, my current handler, came down pretty much on the next train possible after work and put the collar back on me as a puppy, and that's where we've been since. Part of this also comes because I'm also a registered slave, and so when Rachel left me, I became a stray pup and a stray slave, and of course a stray pup is never a good place to be. And then the same again when the chap in Somerset decollared me. It was a case of panicked. I'm a stray puppy, but then Colin came down and put the collar back on me. So it's all sort of, it's a very long-winded way around, but that's where relationships sort of started at the beginning, where the pup side started, where it all fell apart, and then where it's got to now. My current situation is that actually Rachel, now having spent time away but at the same time watching my puppy side, she's realised that actually it was never her that was holding the puppy side back, and so between us we have regrets that we split and we separated, we're never going to say never to not getting back. We don't know. Who knows? Life could change tomorrow. Who just don't know. But we're still very good friends, and she accepts the puppy side and understands it a lot more now. She's realised that. I think, to one extent, she's accepting it a lot more these days because there is the safe environment where it's not a sleazy a sleazy dark club somewhere that's male orientated only. It's now you've got the Pup Social mixed and such forth, and you can come to London Pride, Brighton Pride, and be a part of it, no matter what your gender orientation actually is. It's open to all, and I think that's now realised that it wasn't back then where it went wrong. It went wrong back then because there was no outlet for puppies to be puppies properly. I know that the community these days, it has its turmoil. It's quite odd to watch. When I first started being a pup, there wasn't the outlets, there wasn't the locations, there wasn't the sort of safe social environment to be a puppy. You had to go and find somewhere that was acceptance of it. So I was going to Heroes, which was a skin tight club in London, and not long afterwards their fetish bound started up, and they advertised as being open to anyone of any kink background, be it tied up, be it flogged, be it whatever. And fairly early on in its day, I think it was probably the second or third evening that they did, there was a couple of pups there, and they actually then started having a little specific area for us. The actual sort of general clubs will normally these days set aside a little area for pups to play, so we're more accepted. But again, back early on when I first started being a pup, there wasn't that many locations, and if you went down, people would sort of look at you kind of going, what are you doing? And just, they couldn't understand it. Certain people in the leather community now understand pup play, because again, there's this small degree that pup play is soft. People see pup play as soft. It's a soft fetish, and if you look at the photos from London Pride last year, it's a rapidly growing community. It's now starting to be recognised across. We did Mr. Puppy UK 2 years ago, 2015. We had the Mr. Puppy Netherlands the year before, and recently we've now started to get Italy, France, and so from the community globally, it's being more and more recognised as something with a status behind it. But if you go back even 4 years ago, not that long ago at all, it was very much seen as a very quiet, soft, they're not really bothered kind of a kink to be in as a community. So it's growing, it's expanding. Other kink communities are now accepting us for who we are, which is pleasing to see, and they're quite friendly about it. They're not giving us grief for who we are, which is good. Domestic friends, puppy play. They actually kind of incorporate it, which is really cool. I keep it very clear from work for obvious, sensible reasons. It's not fair to bring it into work environments, but from domestic friend, those that you sort of see down the pub or go out into the park with, or go and just sort of hang out and chat with. A lot of my domestic friends, even before the documentary came out, were somewhat aware of Spot to some degree. So when the documentary got aired on TV, it didn't actually cause them great shock that, well, we know that person. It was very much a case of, oh, that's more of his history that he's not had to explain to us face to face. And the nice thing is that they allow my puppy side to come out and play. I just say, going back to one of the earlier queries you had about the sort of the gear and being a puppy, from my point of view, my pup side doesn't need the gear to be a pup, and from the point of view of the friends, it means that they can get away with A, calling me Spot, and I'll react and bark at them and all the rest of it, and B, it also gives them the option of tickling you behind the ears as a domestic human dressed domestically, and between them and yourself, you know what's going on, and it means that you get away with it and get some enjoyment. It's just sort of that nice warm feeling down your back, your neck, and they get the relaxation of petting a puppy, even though I'm not actually in full pup gear at the time. So I think the documentary reinforced their feelings and what they want to do and be around, how they want to react around me. But then on the same note, friends, once they realise that it's not harmful, it's just an escape. I mean, some people go down to the pub to get away from things. Some people go and sit in the park and kick a football around, or some people sit in front of the PlayStation to get rid of the sort of woes of life. My puppy side's that, and so friends allow my puppy side out, which allows me to relax and be more enjoyable around them, and be more of a pleasurable person to be with. Family side of things, they were aware of my puppy side before the documentary came out. My sister found out my puppy side before I'd even realised it, and that was through something I'd put online that my sister read and then Googled, and I hadn't realised that it was such a unique, identifiable bit of information. And it was not long after that my sister bumped into me. She went, "I know what you are, I know what you're up to, I know you're safe, and I'll keep them out of the way," which is a real nice thing to be accepted at that level without any there was no questions asked. It was just outright, "We will make sure you're okay." Then not long after that, when I sleep with my puppy collar on, you sort of forget you're wearing it after a while, and I went round to the rest of the family, and we went round for a family meal, and got told, set yourself down and grab yourself a drink and all that shit like families do. So I chucked my jacket off, and I hadn't even realised I was still wearing a puppy collar. My sister shouted down the corridor with her, but didn't even get half a chance to even think. She didn't even turn to me and go, "Oh, by the way, you used to realise that." She just went, "Mum, do you mind if a puppy stays for dinner?" And at which point, if I took the collar off, I'd be asked questions. If I left it on, I was going to be asked questions, and I felt, dare I say it, I felt safer with it on, so I kept it on at the time. So yeah, family knew about my puppy side, but didn't know quite what it all encompassed, right from a very early age of my puppy side of life. Then with the documentary coming out, all the family have actually truthfully been proud of me for having the confidence to go public with it and actually be bringing my personal life out into the public community. They've not had a bad word about it. Even distant family haven't been and stopped talking to me. They all still talk. They all still send birthday cards. So nothing's changed. They just now know more about me than I probably know about them. Rules on pup play. I wouldn't say there's any specific, true, hard and fast, black and white rules that you must follow. And again, if you look at the leather community, you've got to be in leather. You've got to have this. You've got to have that to be accepted into the leather community. If you go to a rubber party, you've got to have expensive rubber, or I'll say expensive rubber in its own sense is expensive. Whether it's 20 quid for something you're going to wear once a month, or whether it's 200 quid for a custom suit or whatever. Pup play from that side of things has no boundaries, has no rules. A collar's nice, don't get me wrong, but you don't even need to have a collar to be a puppy. You need to have the right mindset to sort of play at the primal level of a chew toy and a squeaky ball and a laser light. From other rules, I wouldn't say that there's anything specifically hard and fast. certain things go without saying, but then certain things go without saying in normal human life that, there are certain things that are just taboo and you do not do, full stop. From me, I don't really think, I mean, there are rules around it, but I don't quite know how to explain them, if that makes sense. You've got your master, you've got your handler. I suppose what handler says goes to an extent, albeit you've got to sort of think that you are already a puppy, so therefore the handlers, you're playing at puppy level, not at hardcore BDSM level. So there's certain things that the handler could say to you as a puppy, which you go, that's not puppy state, that's not the here and now, that's not puppy play. So I suppose there's that side. In a loose context, you've got the packs that are around. Again, I'm not part of a specific pack, so I find it very hard to sort of give a true breakdown of what it is. But you do have the hierarchy within the pack that you listen to certain people in amongst it. You've got the alphas, the omegas, and all the rest of it. So there's loose rules to it. But again, I think with the community still finding its feet in certain areas, certain rules at the moment are still very fuzzy as to exactly what they are. I mean, yes, the hierarchy one is in terms of the alpha and beta and the omegas and all that nature. That's fairly well established. That's established in all walks of the kink community, whether they've got a different name to it or not, but there's still something of that nature in there. But no, I find it very hard to put a set of rules to it specifically, apart from just have fun. That's my feeling of it. That's just have fun and enjoy yourself. Pup play from the point of view of sort of a central goal, a central goal that you're trying to get towards. I think a lot of it is people are trying to get away from the stress of normal life. Where, as I say, that encompasses everything from life, family, money, whatever, and they just want to come back to being something that is loved, cared for, and just find simplicity in simple things. You don't need expensive gear for it, you don't need posh gear for it. Okay, there's recommendations of knee pads and stuff because otherwise it hurts like heck after a while, but that's not because you have to have it to be. But I know that in myself I find comfort as being a puppy. Part of it is because of the love you get, and it's not love from your direct partner or similar, it's the love around you, it's the whole ethos of, even when you're out in public, yes, you get the people who query it and go, don't understand. But if you can get them to understand even just a tiny fraction of it, and give you one, even if it's just a little pat or a pet on the head or a tickle behind the ear, there's such a warmth from that. Even if they don't understand it, they will do it because they understand it from that side. So love and warmth, friendship, and friendship's a massive one. The community we know is growing very quickly. There's always going to be little groups in amongst the friendship, but actually if you look at it as a whole, everyone talks to everyone, no matter what their walk of life is outside of being a puppy. It's just harmony, it's love, it's friendship, it's playfulness, it's just a magic place to be, in me. That's why I find it is, and I think that's what we all go for. I think it's not trying to be the big I am, it's about trying to find, just playing with simplicity, trying to come back to your bare, basic life and just have fun. Puppy play's become very popular. I think part of that's come from the fact that it is an inexpensive fetish to get into, kink to get into. You've got, say, you don't need to buy anything, or you can buy as little as nothing, or you can go and buy a collar from the pound shop and be a puppy. You can go and spend a fortune on custom gear and be a puppy. You don't need to have any basic starting ground to be. So it allows the option of to try before becoming a puppy. You can turn up to an event, you can give it one go. To one extent, because you don't need the gear, you can turn up, you can try it, you can go, not for me, and leave, or you can go, that I enjoyed it, and go out and buy a collar. You can go out and say I enjoyed it and go out and buy a puppy hood. It's entirely up to you how far you then take it. So that helps. It's because it's that simple to get into to start with. It allows everyone from every walk of life to come into us and become a pup, whether that be from the sort of the colleges and universities, or whether that be right the way through to older people or high class bankers, or it doesn't matter what level of where you are in age, life, religion, or anything. You can try it before. I suppose try before you buy if you really wanted to put a slogan to it. The other reason why pup play has become popular is, I suppose, dare I say it, it's my fault because it's now public. There's a lot of people. I know there's a lot of pups out there that can associate with my side of pup play in terms of the playfulness, in terms of the simplicity of it, who've all come forward and gone, look, I've always had these feelings, I've always had this sort of urges of being something, and you've now actually given me a bracket or a name to put to what I am. I got Pepper, who very quickly started. From what I gather, she was a little bit of a pup before she started, before the documentary. Once the documentary came out, she then realised that actually, hang on a minute, there's more than just me as a puppy. There's all of this lot, and that's what they want to go and then play with and be a pup with. So that side's not, being, whether it be right, wrong, or indifferent. And I know the community is all very divided over what I've done to it, but because I've become a public celebrity of a puppy, it allows a lot of people to come forward and go, I want to try. So it's not behind closed doors or sleazy, it's out there to be playful. The honest answer is be yourself. There are a lot of events out there across the UK. There's ones in Manchester, you've got, I think which one it is up that way now. I know there's one up in Manchester, there's one in Liverpool direction, there's Birmingham, there's London events, they're all across the UK. Find one close to you. If you're not sure about it, come along. You don't need to play on a mat to be a puppy. You could have a chat in the corner, you could have a chat to the handlers, you could have a chat to the owners of the events. And just be yourself. If you want to be a pup, be yourself. It doesn't cost anything, and it can cost as little or as much as you want it to. Just go out and have fun. Find harmony in simple things. I do. My squeaky toys, chocolate buttons, tummy rubs. Yeah, it's a good community. On the whole, it's a good community.